Hello everyone, Gaara here and welcome to another review video. Today I'm gonna go over 16 brand new The Knights of the Frozen Throne Hearthstone cards. And without further ado, let's get right into it. And I wanna kick off this video with this little bad boy. Oh my god, it's actually the card that I'm the most excited about. It is Frost Lich Jaina. We actually had a little leak from this card. We actually knew what it would do. The Battlecry summon a 3/6 water elemental, and your water elementals have lifesteal for the rest of the game, but we didn't see if the hero power, because it was kind of like a leak, like it wasn't actually revealed. But now we have the official reveal, and now I actually want to also talk about this card. Man, the hero power changes to deal 1 damage, but if your hero power kills a target, spawn a 3/6 water elemental, and that is nuts. This card will actually spawn Frost Lich Jaina control match archetype. I'm pretty sure it is a win condition pretty much on its own, and it is very cool because it supports the elemental team. We have seen already elemental mage decks being played, but they were like tier 2, tier 3-ish. They were like decent but not too crazy. The win rates were not that great. But they were already okay decks, and this would actually fit in such a deck. But not just that, this card, it doesn't even require the elemental team deck, just the hero power, and that the fact that you can just spawn water elementals, and that when you play this card, it gives you like a small heal, it gives you like 5 armor. It's just crazy. You still keep your hero power, but whenever you kill something, you get water elementals, and these water elementals have lifesteal, so you have unlimited health gain, and 3/6 water elementals are super difficult to kill. Yeah, it's just absolutely insane, this card. A lot of people think this card is bad or too slow. I think this card is absolutely insane. Especially mage with ice blocks will have a turn where you can just develop this card, so it shouldn't be a problem for mage to get this card out. And it is, I'm super excited. I think it's a very good card. The next card we have is the Shaman Legendary Moorabi. Whenever another minion is frozen, add a copy of it to your hand. So this works if you freeze an enemy minion or an allied minion, and you can apparently freeze the same minion twice, so you get 2 copies of that minion into your hand. I think this card is pretty bad because it is too gimmicky. Like for example, Priest had a similar card, the 6 mana card that spawns copies, 1/1 copies of allied minions. I think it is very conditional to freeze something because this card is already super expensive. So whenever you don't freeze something and copy it into your hand, and copying it into your hand is already slow. It doesn't do anything. It is just a 6 mana 4/4, and Shaman actually doesn't struggle with generating value. Shaman has Jades, for example. You can play Enzov, you can play Ancestral Spirits and stuff. The problem with Shaman is kind of like survivability and healing, and I don't know, it's a very gimmicky effect, but we have seen a lot of cards that support this playstyle. We've seen the 3/1 mana weapon, 3 mana 1 attack weapon with 3 charges that I covered in the previous video, I believe, that whenever a minion is frozen you just kill it, but you still have to face tank it, which hurts a lot. Yeah, there's like also this card which I will talk about next. Let me actually pull this up. It is this 2 mana spell that buffs a minion +3/+3 and freezes it, so it can buff an enemy minion, but it can also buff an allied minion. If you combine it with the legendary, you would gain the minion, so you could actually buff a taunt minion +3/+3, so it doesn't matter if it's frozen, which is kind of cool. You can buff a Stonehill Defender to a 4/7, which is very strong, and you don't care if it's frozen because it has taunt, but then you would get it back. And getting back a Stonehill Defender is actually really good. So this card has potential for sure, because you can use it in a defensive way. And yeah, you kind of want to play like a taunt, frozen, freeze shaman deck. I'm a little bit skeptical, but it seems to have some potential because you can take out a lot of minions if you play the 3 mana weapon. You have hexes and that, so your big minions, removing big minions shouldn't be a problem. And also against aggressive decks you shouldn't struggle too much. because you buff a big taunt minion for very low mana cost. And value shouldn't be a problem because you get with the legendary frozen minions back. So I'm not sure yet because we haven't played this type of deck ever before. So it seems to have some potential, but yeah, I can't promise you guys that this will be the new tier 1 deck yet. The next card we have is Bone Mare. It is a neutral card, a 7 mana 5/5. Battlecry, give a friendly minion +4/+4 and taunt. This is like a super Houndmaster. Just much better. I think buffing a minion +4/+4 and giving a taunt is incredibly powerful. And 7 mana 5/5 isn't even that horrible. You can see this card as a 7 mana 5/5 that spawns 4/4 taunt. I would like to compare this card to the Jade Chieftain from Shaman. And as soon as you get a 4/4 plus taunt, it's actually pretty good. And I was thinking about this before, like how big do the cards have to be before you would actually play these Jade cards as just standalones. And +4/+4 plus taunt seems pretty good. But on top of it, it is not just a card that it doesn't just spawn a 4/4 taunt. It can provide you like 4/4 taunt charge if you have something on the board. I think this is actually a pretty good 7-drop, and I'm actually very happy that we get cool, strong 7-drops, because the game has really lacked good playable 7-drops since the beginning of time. We only had like Baron Geddon and Shilmore, and they were kind of like, you can't play them in all decks. So I think this seems to be like a pretty good card, and yeah, it seems viable to be honest. I don't think this card is bad whatsoever. Yeah, pretty good card. The next card we have is Spreading Plague. It is a druid class spell. Summon a 1/5 Scarab with taunt. If your opponent has more minions, cast this again. So it works like Unleash the Hounds for 2 more mana, but instead of 1/1s with charge, you get 1/5s with taunt, which is pretty powerful. So basically, as soon as you get 3 minions or more, this card is really good. So if we have a meta where the opponent will play like 3 or more minions before turn 5, then this card is good. So against control decks, it is underwhelming because control decks usually play just 1 minion at a time, sometimes 2. But there are situations where they have like 3 minions on the board, but usually around 2. And even against that, then you spawn 2 1/5s, it's okay, right? They still have to remove it in some way. And if you play this like in a slow deck where you just want to protect your other cards and just buy time, I think this card is a pretty good card, and it fits very well in Druid, because Druid is really lacking comeback mechanics against aggressive decks. And yeah, as soon as you get 3 of these plagues, it is pretty good value for 5 mana. So I really like this card. It's a good card. It's definitely playable. The next one we have is a Paladin weapon. 4 mana, 1/4, Light's Sorrow. After a friendly minion loses Divine Shield, gain +1 attack. On first sight, this card might look a little bit weak, because yeah, how often does a minion lose Divine Shield when you have a weapon equipped? And I think this is not so bad actually. If you play an aggressive Paladin, you will have a lot of Divine Shield minions, and you have a lot of minions already in the game, like the 3 mana guy that gives 1 health minion Divine Shield when you play it. And just Paladin has naturally a lot of Divine Shield minions like Tyrion and Wicker Flame Burn Bristle, but Paladin is also getting new Divine Shield minions, and there's also neutral Divine Shield legendaries, which I will talk about in this video as well. I think this card might be good. Weapons in general, you should never underestimate a weapon in Hearthstone. If there's like minions that support weapons, the weapon will see play. So we can't see this card being played in a specific deck yet, but I can definitely see this card being played in a Divine Shield aggro Paladin deck. If this deck will be tier 1 or not is unsure, but this card definitely has potential. The next card we have is a Priest spell, Eternal Servitude. Discover a friendly minion that died this game, summon it. I think this is a pretty cool card because it removes the RNG aspect to some extent, and I think almost all of it, because you won't have that many minions die usually. If you play this in super late game, then yeah, sure, maybe you have 10 minions that died or 50 minions that died that game. Then it might be still pretty RNG. You can still get unlucky and get like double cleric plus and yeah, something, let us fight historian or whatever. But if it's in the mid game, you can fairly certain, yeah, choose a minion, a specific minion that you want. And this card is also good for combo decks. You can, for 4 mana, you can maybe get Priest Wellen back or something like that, and then you have a 4 mana Wellen, and then you just kill your opponent. It's a definitely cool card. I like that it's not just spawn a random minion that died. That's just the variance is too high. If you can discover something, I think this is really cool. It can bring you back into the game. If, for example, a Primordial Drake died and Priest was lacking, like, I don't know, good comeback tools, oftentimes it's just very mana clunky. Oftentimes, for example, you go Dragonfire Potion, and then for 4 mana, what can Priest really do? The optimal case would probably play Priest of the Feast, which in super late game is not that crazy. And if you can just, you know, Dragonfire Potion and then get like an Ysera back, or, you know, Primordial Drake or something, it seems like a card that has a lot of potential, and it is a spell, so you can also get it back with Shadow Visions, for example. I like this card. Again, if you wanna play this on curve, and you will only like get 1 drops, 2 drops, or 3 drops back, so Priest will be playing from behind. Usually you wanna be proactive, so I don't know how strong this card will be. It doesn't seem like one of the strongest cards, but it is definitely a better card than Purify when Purify was released. The next card we have is Corpsetaker, and I'm super excited about this one. It is a 4 mana 3/3 Battlecry, gain Taunt. If your deck has a Taunt minion, repeat for Divine Shield, Lifesteal, and Wind Fury. So basically, if you have a Taunt minion, Divine Shield minion, Lifesteal minion, Wind Fury minion, this card will get all of these effects, and that is quite powerful. You can look at cards like Alakia Windlord, which has only 3 attack and 5 health, but it is still a very powerful card because it has Charge, Divine Shield, and Taunt. And Wind Fury. So if you mix a lot of these status effects together, cards just become very powerful. And this is an incredibly powerful defensive card, because it has Divine Shield and Taunt, so it's very difficult to get through this card. You might have already experiences with fighting Wicker Flame Burn Bristle. It is a 3 mana 2/2 with Taunt, Divine Shield, and it is very annoying to get through it and not give your opponent any heal. So this card will be fairly similar, just that it has even more attack. So this card should heal you. Sometimes it heals you for 6. If it survives, it is like a crazy attack powerhouse with Wind Fury and Lifesteal. Will just regenerate a lot of health. This card is like defensive and offensive and everything. The cool part is it looks at your remaining cards of the deck. So if you only play 1 Wind Fury minion and you have already drawn that 1 Wind Fury minion, then this card will lose the effect Wind Fury, but it will still have Taunt, Divine Shield, and Lifesteal. So I think it is a very cool card that also makes your decisions a little bit more interesting about how you approach the deck that you play it in. I think it's a very good card and an interesting card, and it has a lot of like complexity and depth into it, and I'm super excited to play this card myself. The next card we have is Prince Mallanna. It is the 3rd Prince card and also the last one. It is a 4 mana 4/4 legendary. Battlecry, if your deck has no 4-cost cards, gain Lifesteal and Taunt. So very similar to the other 2 princes, which require you to have no 2-cost cards and no 3-cost cards. This one is for 4 mana cards, and it gives you Lifesteal and Taunt. It's not crazy, but what is very interesting about these prince cards, if you have a deck which doesn't play that many 2 drops or 3 drops or 4 drops, then you can just put this card into your deck. You know, it is a 4 mana 4/4 with Taunt and Lifesteal, so it is not that insanely powerful. A 4 mana 4/4 Taunt is not that good, but if it regenerates your health, it might be decent. It's just another decent card that you can play in your deck. And yeah, it's an okay card. I like that cards like this exist. If they already print filler cards, might them as well be viable in some decks. So decent card. not too crazy powerful. The next one we have is a rogue weapon. It is a 3 mana 3/2 Shadowblade. Battlecry, your hero is immune this turn. So another weapon that is released. So in this expansion we've seen quite a lot of weapons so far, and it was only like 1/3 of the expansion that they've shown us, so it could be even more weapons. I think this is a good card. Weapons are always good, and this is basically the Eaglehorn bow with upside for rogue. Paladin has the Rolling Blade, Hunter has the Eaglehorn bow, now rogue has the Shadowblade. I think this card has a lot of potential. Obviously it's basically, when you look at the Hunter 7 mana bow that has 5 attack that makes you immune, it's just so overcosted compared to this. This is just, yeah, it has less attack, but immune this turn is actually really cool, just to take out stuff. And this can also be played in an aggressive rogue deck, aggressive rogue pirate deck. Sure, this card seems to have like a lot of flexibility. It works with the new life leech that rogue has. It doesn't fit in Miracle Rogue, I would say, so maybe it does even for 3 mana. You can play this instead of SI7 agents because you don't take any damage while you take out minions. That was always the problem with Rogue. You don't really want to trade your life for taking out stuff, so you rather play SI7 agents. But if your hero is immune, yeah, it's pretty cool. I think this is a good card, and we'll definitely see play. The next one we have is a Paladin card, the Howling Commander. It is a 3 mana 2/2 Battlecry, draw a Divine Shield minion from your deck. So a lot of people hype this card up as, oh my god, this is so broken, it just draws you Tyrion every time. I think this card will see no play. The reason for it is because it's a Paladin card. I don't even see this card being played in an aggressive Paladin, which runs a lot of Divine Shield minions, just because of the stats of this card. If this card would have Divine Shield itself, then it would see play, or if it had better stats, like a 3 mana 3/3 might be already good enough, but 3 mana 2/2 are just too weak. Like, we have a similar card in the game, which is the Cabal Courier, and the only decks you played it in was Mage and Warlock, sometimes in Priest, but rarely. And the reason for that is because Warlock is good in fighting from behind, same goes for Mage, and you only played it basically to get additional Kazakus in the most optimal situation. Now that there's no more Reno decks being played, you don't even want to include a Cabal Courier anymore, and this is like just a much worse Cabal Courier because it draws you only the Tyrion from your deck. Stonehill Defender in comparison, I think 1/4 with Taunt is better. That gives you like another taunt minion, and it has the chance of 21.6% to give you an additional Tyrion, which is much better than just draw your own Tyrion from your deck. So in control matchups, it doesn't provide you additional value, it just helps you draw your Tyrion, and in control matchup you should end up drawing your Tyrion anyways at some point. And against aggressive decks, this card just has too weak stats. So I don't see this card being good in an aggressive deck, against control decks, in a control deck, so basically in no deck. I think this card is bad and won't see play. The next card we have is a warrior spell, Dead Man's Hand. Shuffle a copy of your hand into your deck. This is a crazy powerful card, but it is also crazy slow. But warrior is actually pretty good at playing slower decks, which the history has shown us, because warrior has cards like Brawl, has weapons, and a lot of armor gain. And this card is so powerful. It is very similar to Spirit Echoes from Shaman, which just gives it costs 3 mana and gives every minion on the board the deferral effect. After it dies, you get it back to your hand, which is pretty good because you have the value immediately. With this card, you want to draw a lot of cards because you get the value through your deck, right? You get a bigger deck, but you have to draw all these cards again. And the crazy part about this card is you can run it twice. So if you have 2 Dead Man's Hands in your hand, you can copy Dead Man's Hand and get that back into your deck. So you can always wait, theoretically, if the game is slow enough, to always use Dead Man's Hand when you have a second copy of Dead Man's Hand in your hand. So you basically have infinite value. Like, that's crazy. I will definitely play around with this card. As I said, it's super slow, but oh boy, having infinite draws. Like the first thing that came to my mind is playing this in a Khotun warrior deck. If you have Khotun in, let's say, Doomcaller in your hand, and you play this, and you get another Khotun and Doomcaller in your deck, that's crazy value with just that one Deadman's Hand. But if you have two Deadman's Hand, you can get Khotun, Doomcaller, and Deadman's Hand back in your deck. And then just wait, it's like infinite Khotuns. Unimaginable amount of value, crazy slow, and probably crazy powerful. Fatigue Warrior is back, boys. But we won't go to Fatigue. The opponent will. Next card we have is another good card. It is a Warlock card, Defile, 2 mana, deal 1 damage to all minions. If any die, cast this again. Crazy powerful for 2 mana. Compare this to Maelstrom from Shaman or Arcane Explosion from Mage. Then you can see what kind of AoE effects we have for 2 mana. This card is crazy because it also works if you kill your own minions. So basically, if you have some smaller minions on your board, you can toss in some smaller minions. Then you can defile and pretty much clear everything. So whenever something dies, it keeps rolling like a domino effect and just keeps killing stuff. For 2 mana, it doesn't really have a big drawback. Yes, it kills your own board, but Warlock usually doesn't care about that. So might actually bring back Control Warlock. Control Warlock has already so many board clears, and this is just another fantastic board clear card. If Warlock gets a little bit more healing survivability, yeah, Control Warlock is back in town, boys. And the next card we have is another cool card. It is a Hunter secret, Venom Strike Trap. Secret: when one of your minions is attacked, summon a 2/3 Poisonous Cobra, and it obviously costs 2 mana because all Hunter secrets cost 2 mana. 2/3 Poisonous Cobra, and Poisonous just kills anything, so pretty good for 2 mana, I would say. The Emperor Cobra costs usually 3 mana, so you basically get, like the other minions that you summon, just 1 mana less, so it's slightly like a slight tempo lead. It's very cool to have more and more secrets, so it's much harder for your opponent to play around all these secrets, and this also makes Professor Putricide, the new Hunter Legendary, stronger. Because this is another good secret that you can get from the random secrets. Now we have Snake Trap, Venom Strike, the Bear Trap, and the Panther Trap. So there's quite a few cool traps now. The downside is obviously it requires you to your opponent to attack your minions, but usually they want to attack your minions. So another good trap, yeah, pretty strong. And also having a Poisonous Cobra is pretty good if you want to play a more controlish hunter, because you are usually struggling to take out bigger minions, and this might help. Yeah, it's a good trap. And we will only see this card being played if we actually see Hunter being played. The next card we have is another exciting card. It is the Warrior 1-drop. It is a 1 mana 1/3 animated Berserker. After you play a minion, deal 1 damage to it. It's a pretty cool effect. It works with Enrage minions, it works with Acolyte of Pain, it works with Armor Smith, it works with Battle Rage. There's so many cards in Warrior where this works with. You can play this and then you go for your Bloodhoof Brave, and then you have a 5/5 taunt for 4 mana. Warrior doesn't have good 1-drops, or never had good 1-drops, besides Enzo First Mate, and you played Enzo First Mate in the most aggressive Warrior or deck in ever created. And yeah, this is like a card you can play in a control deck. Maybe this is also a good card in Enrage Warrior, and this works very well together with the card Rampage. So when a minion is damaged, you can buff it +3/+3. And Rampage is one of the classic cards that saw almost no play. I remember Colento making like an Amani Berserker, Gurubashi Berserker Enrage deck way back in the days, and this is like another card that works very well with just enraging it, because it has a lot of health and it enrages other minions. So this might actually also be a card in a more aggressive tempo based warrior deck, just enrage tempo warrior, because it is a 1-drop, and 1-drops are the most scary cards in Hearthstone because they are the most meta defining cards, like as we've seen with cards like Tunnel Trog, Totem Golem. Yeah, Totem Golem is a 2-drop, but it supports the 1-drop. And yeah, like Undertaker, it's just in general 1-drops. Like if you have a powerful 1-drop, it will definitely see play and it might be meta defining. It's like patches, for example. Just look at all the crazy 1-drops we've had. Flame Imp, they all defined the meta in the past, and yeah, this is more like a defensive one, you might think, but it can also be an offensive one. Very cool design, and yeah, it's a powerful 1-drop, and it will definitely see play, probably in new decks. And yeah, it's cool to have a card like this. The cool thing about a card like this is because it doesn't have super offensive stats. It's better to have 1-drops that have a lot of health, because it gives your opponent a chance to come back if he doesn't have a good starting hand. If this would be like, let's say, a 1-mana 3/2 minion without any effect, that is just stupid. And if your opponent doesn't have like an answer for to it, the game can just snowball and he loses by turn 3 or turn 4. If a card like this has like a cool effect and it has defensive stats, I think it's pretty good for the game, because yeah, your opponent still has a chance to come back, and yeah, it tests your deck building's expertise, and it gives you a lot of decisions during the game, because yeah, every time you play a minion it gets damaged. But yeah, there's cool new curves, like this into Armani Berserker is a very powerful offensive curve. It will just inner raging this, but then you can battle rage and draw 3 cards. It's very cool things you can do. Yeah, I'm very excited about this card. The next card we have is another 1-drop, Sanguine Revela. Battle cry, destroy a friendly minion and gain +2/+2. So it is a Warlock card. So yeah, Warlock doesn't really have a problem in having something small on the board which you can just eat and get +2/+2. +2/+2 is a lot, so you have basically a 1-mana 3/3. You can eat the 3-mana X, the Raptor Egg, and finally we have another good activator, Power of the Whelming, unfortunately rotated out, or luckily, because it's stupid to just kill someone out of nowhere, probably. And yeah, it's a cool card, and it might bring Zoo back. All it takes is just one additional broken 1-drop, and this might be another additional broken 1-drop, and then Zoo is back in town. And yeah, there's a lot of cards that support that. You can also play the Possessed Villager and just eat him, and then you have a 3/3. And if you have a 1-mana 3/3 turn 1, your opponent doesn't have an answer to deal with it, yeah, it can just snowball if you then play 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, and a Gnome God and kill him. So yeah, it's a super powerful card. It might bring back Zoo, and it might be too OP, and this card might be one of the reasons that everyone will hate Knights of the Frozen Throne, because we can't play 9 mana win conditions if we die turn 3 to this card. The next one we have is a 0 mana 1/1 neutral beast, Snow Flipper Penguin. Not a lot to say there. It's a 0 mana Wisp. We have Wisp already in the game. Only saw play in a Questroke deck. It is now a beast. So basically it is just a filler card, and from what I've heard, it is good for the Hunter hero card, because you can basically choose a beast, and then if you have this one, you just basically get 3 +1/+1 stats on any beast and play it like in the same turn, just because it's cheaper. It's just, yeah, a cool little beast. It has a cool animation, and it's fun to have cards like this in the game. And that's it finally for today's video. 16 brand new cards, and a lot of exciting ones. A lot of them might be actually meta defining, so this is very exciting to actually get the first look at them. A lot of these cards seem to have great potential, and yeah, I'll be making another video every day, and I'm super excited about every single card. And yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, make sure to subscribe. Check out tomorrow's videos as well. Thanks so much for watching, and peace out.